championship.
Up the hill, this is tight stuff. Oh, Jansen's off! On the brakes, they're heavy. It's going to go around the outside. It is done from Phil Kraus.
And it really is a three-way fight for third. Kraus loses control. It's carnage. It's chaos. Valtteri Alander returns to victory lane in the ISOWC and crown him our series champion. From Phillip Island to America's premier short track, the iRacing IndyCar Open Series continues on a Monday night. We welcome you back to RaceSpotTV as we get set for 165 laps underneath the night lights. It is the action track, it is Strawberry Hill, it is Richmond Raceway, and 165 laps here should go past relatively quickly, but at a track where danger is to be expected. The question really is, with 25 cars in our field, how many cautions will we have? Delighted to have you join us here once more on RaceSpotTV as we continue through the second half of the 2021 Season 3 on the iRacing service. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, joined as always by my Powerslide Motorsports teammate Wilson Nadeau, with TV cameras brought to us by TrackCams22.com, live timing powered by our partners at ATVO. You can head to RaceSpot.tv/Indy to follow along with your favorite team and drivers. Wilson, it was a comedic race last time from the land down under as we went racing from Phillip Island. All sorts of shenanigans, but now we head to short track racing once more. We'll go short track racing as well in round number 10, but I think this is a very interesting challenge. High speeds, high bankings, 165 laps. It'll be tough.
Hello Arjuna, good evening. Hello Arjuna, everyone else watching RaceSpotTV once again. And yeah, I agree with you Arjuna, it's a completely different story tonight. So short oval and a lot of strategies to be played during the race, you know, short pit, undercut, overcut is always a risky track. And most of the drivers, there's some of you drivers that love this track and some of the drivers that doesn't like it. But either way, it's always a fun track with different scenarios and situations that we probably will be able to see tonight. And as you have mentioned, 165 laps, long race. In terms of green flag run, it will be pretty much a one-stopper. The question is who will be the first one to bring the car to the pit stop and try to undercut, because we know that in such a short oval, when you try to go for the undercut, you just lose 2 laps. You get 2 laps down, so it's a lot of risk if a yellow flag comes out, and you will be in a very bad situation during the race. So really looking forward to see what the drivers will put up in the show for us tonight, and it's always a pleasure to watch these drivers doing the show in such a challenging track here, you know.
And here's a quick look at our championship standings. The defending champion Adam Blocker not in today's race. He will be missing a number of other races in the run-up to our season finale from the Tricky Triangle Pocono Raceway. So effectively, your defending series champion is out of the championship picture. We are ready to go racing from a track that has sold out an incredible 33 consecutive NASCAR Cup Series races. Let's go trackside from Henrick County, I hope I said that right, in Virginia for today's starting grid. And on pole position, it's a 16.162. Just gives you an indication of the speeds we're going to see here today. It is Phil Kraus in that search for this championship. On his outside, it will be Alexander Van der Sant with Tim Tomes inside of Jacob Oster, the top 4 separated by less than 1/10 of a second. Andrew Wood, almost a full tenth further back from Jacob Oster. He'll line up inside of Chris Wilhite, the Ohio native. Row number 3, a strong pairing of IndyCar veterans. Isaac Morris and Andrew Marquez is the team affair on row number 4 with Trevor Greenfield and Alexis Newsom on the edge of the top 10. John Silver and Andreas Leik, 11th and 12th positions, with Nathan Rees and Maxwell Brown, 13th and 14th. Half a second back to Ethan McNichol in 15th, with David Grable on the outside of row number 8, Clint Martin and Robin Glennox, who had a bit of a tough time from the land down under 17th and 18th. Laura Gerhard, the Soul Power Slide Motorsports representative, lines up in 19th alongside Hunter Smith on the edge of the top 20. Thomas Schaffner, Jeff Pless 21st and 22nd, the final cars to set qualifying lap times, with Evan Adams and JB Broyles 23rd and 24th. Steve Harvey rounds out our 25 cars. It's a bit of an interesting one here with 25 cars in the action because it's a short track and lap traffic, Wilson, will very much be the name of the game.
It will be the name of the game, Juna, I'm pretty sure of that. And because we've seen how fast this track is, so we'll probably see during the race lap times in the neighborhood of 16 to 17 seconds. So pretty fast laps in terms of left traffic. The leaders will have to really pay attention, and most important to have a right reading, when to be aggressive, when to try to go for the move, and especially in such a grid with 25 cars, always there's a huge chance of some yellows here and there, but hopefully we can have good green flag runs and see the strategy playing into the game.
I'm getting word in the YouTube chat that Jacob Oster no longer part of Total Downforce Racing. He is now on Team Closed Squares, but I'm not seeing any sort of new livery on his car, so I just wonder if there's just some miscommunication between the Closed Squares team and Jacob Oster. We'll get an additional lap behind the pace car, I do believe, because it is such a short track. You've said in the past, Wilson, you're not necessarily a fan of short ovals, especially on this newer tire model, but it does make racing somewhat interesting. I think what is going to be crucial here today is just how difficult getting on and getting off of pit road is going to be.
Yeah, it will be. As I've mentioned earlier, I'm not a huge fan of short ovals. However, I recently experienced, especially at Gateway yesterday, was such a great race, and I'm starting to reconsider that, Arjuna, and starting to do more practice short ovals because it was just a fun race. And yeah, of course, pit stop strategies and also nail the pit entry lap and also the outside lap is always a matter of important question here. So we'll have to wait and see what the drivers can do for us tonight.
Here we go, 165 laps of action from America's premier short track. We are racing from Richmond Raceway. It is a monster of a jump from Phil Kraus. He'll be looking to take full advantage of the clean air, but side by side they run for third position as one of the Scoworks cars, as I've been told it's pronounced, tries to get on the inside, and that's going to surely be our first caution. That's Jacob Oster up into the outside wall. We somehow have managed to stay under green flag conditions. One car already out of today's action.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Jacob. He's still on the race, and yeah, it's been over there, but we're still on the green flag, and hopefully we didn't have that yellow flag. Oh, now we have.
Oh, now we haven't, and I don't even think it's because of what happened to Jacob. I think there was a subsequent incident further down the field for Clint Martin. Let's see if we can go straight to these RaceSpotTV replays. I have a sneaking suspicion it's going to be very similar to what we had last time, where we spent about half of the race under replay rather than watching some of the live pictures. Here we go. Let's start with what happens to that Closed Squares car. And loses it by himself. That's the number 9 up into the outside wall. And interesting incident there, and I just wonder if it was cold tires, Wilson, that became a little bit too tricky for Jacob to keep control of.
Yeah, I think that probably might be the reason, Arjuna. I'm not the most experienced or skilled driver in short ovals to confirm that, but at least yesterday at Gateway, it was pretty tricky in the first couple of laps, so we really have to be careful with our throttle inputs. Probably that might be the reason for Jacob and also for Clint Martin to lose the rear end of the car so early in the race.
So let's stay on this and just follow the action through turns 1 and 2. Pick up what happens to the 20. Oh, I was told turn 2 might be a bit of a killer for some of these cars, and indeed that's what happened. Let's jump on board with this machine running very low, and I wonder maybe if that's just a little bit too much weight jacker into that car as well.
Yeah, probably, potentially, because if you do a lot of weight jacker, use a lot of weight jacker early in the race, you might any overheating or even forcing too much your right rear tire and any up spinning. And that probably can be a reason, or even was the setup itself, As an open series, you never know which kind of adjustment the drivers are using. If it's a setup that relies more on the weight jacker or in the front bar stuff. So yeah, but there's a huge chance of being that, Arjuna.
That didn't last very long in terms of that first green flag run, and of course with about a 75 lap fuel window, we are looking potentially, Wilson, at a one-stop race. The limiting factor is very much going to be the tires, and I'll be interested as to how these drivers determine when they want to come down onto pit road. Only one car has decided to come down this time around. That's David Grable in the 12.
Yeah, tire is very important here, Arjuna, because even if you're not in the pit window, but let's say you have 40 laps old tire, it's always worth to pit and to get new fresh rubber, even if it's not necessary to add the fuel. And but I think that's probably there's a chance of one or driver here and there trying to get his chances and try to keep their position in the track. And because according to the number of drivers that came to the pit stall, sometimes that strategy can work. And it's always some kind of different strategies that add more spicy to the race, and of course that's pretty much what everybody wants to see in such a kind of race, right? You know?
And I think the other thing that you have at a track like this is very long caution runs, because you go from a 16-second lap time to a 52-second lap time. Once the caution is out, the pace car controlling the speed of the field. It does also mean the race is going to slow down and stop and start. It's a common phrase in all of motorsports, Wilson. Cautions breed cautions.
Yeah, exactly. We always used to say that cautions bring cautions, and especially in the early stages in the race, and considering a lot of cars we had tonight, so we didn't have a race split. So if we had like 16 or 15 cars, I think the race dynamic could be pretty much different. However, with 25 cars, sometimes the race, how the race unfolds, can be completely different from that, Arjuna.
My timing screen is trying to lie to me, telling me that Alexander Van der Sant, running in second, is actually up 5 positions from the start. We will get potentially our live timing updated as pace car is down onto pit lane. We are ready to go back to green. Of course, Van der Sant won in Iowa. It was a fuel-save race then. Will we see similar things as we come down at turn number 1, already in excess of 240 kilometers an hour under the night lights? It is a very cool evening as Andrew Wood looks to the inside of Tim Tomes. Nothing doing, at least for now, but side by side across the start-finish line. Almost contact between the two of them. The Team Talent cars up to the podium positions.
Yeah, very good early aggression from Andrew. He's definitely trying to go for good points tonight, and he knows that how important that will be for him in terms of championship points, especially because we don't have an Gray in tonight's race, so that's a good chance for Andrew Wood to go and send it.
What's happened to Alexis Newsom? She is running very slowly on that inside line at this point in time. I just wonder if maybe brushing the outside wall and compromising her car. And now side by side behind her is John Silver and Maxwell Brown. She is checking up the pack and already enabling some cars to make some moves. There is a bit of separation that's forming, by the way, at the front of your field already. Oh, you see Newsom all the way up the track. That car is clearly not handling correctly. We've got another victim here at Richmond Raceway.
Yeah, she hit the wall big time out of turn 2, and yeah, definitely some minor damage for her. Not sure if she'll be able to bring the car to the end of the race. Let's wait for a few more laps and see what Alexis can do to her car on the track.
Would not be surprised to see her just pull it down onto the lane, as already lap traffic is a factor for the front 4 cars. They have separated themselves from Chris Wilhite by about 0.7 of a second. It's a further 1 second back to Isaac Morris, who's now being chased down by Trevor Greenfield as we jump on board with the number 15 car and see as Greenfield works his way through that lap traffic. Alexis Newsom has worked her way down on towards pit road, so we are going to hopefully get a bit of a green flag run here. And already, Wilson, you can see as we come down this back straightaway, Phil Krause working his way across the start-finish line. There's going to be some heavy lap traffic for him to deal with.
Yeah, we just after a few laps after the restart, and Krause is already handling with dirty air and traffic and trying to hit his marks and find the best spot to overtake and to get those lapped cars. So it will be pretty interesting to see that, Arjuna. But at the same time, there's always a risk of a new caution. But hopefully, we can see a green flag run right here.
Isaac Morris has been passed. The next question is, will his teammate Andrew Marquez be able to slip on through as well. I don't think, at least for now, there is anything doing. It's Andreas Eick who is all the way up onto the outside line. The gap out front, by the way, is 2 full seconds. I think just gives you an indication of how important clean air is going to be, and you can see Eick is just searching for some right now behind those two teammates, as David Grable has worked his way up a number of positions, now sitting in 16th after coming down onto pit road. Alexis Newsom, after working her way onto the box, has been stationary for 60 seconds and counting. That might be day done for Newsom. She'll be heading to New Hampshire shortly after this for the Lionheart Speedway Series as they work their way through the second half of the season. Out front, Alexander Van der Stant is being attacked by Tim Tomes, but there's Clint Martin, there's the lap traffic. It's causing a bit of issues for that number 6 car.
Yeah, we were able to see, Arjuna, how important it is to choose the right line and the right move at the right time. So sometimes you can get yourself in trouble if you get the wrong line or do the wrong choice. So it will be pretty common to see tonight here with all this huge lap traffic. Sometimes the driver having to lift a little bit more than expected just to be on the safe side and to prevent any crashing.
Meanwhile, Phil Krause, about 2 and a bit seconds clear, is trying to work his way through some more lap traffic. And of course, this is where the fact that Adam Crane is not in today's field becomes a little bit more interesting, because if Krause can control the race here today, Wilson, 12 race weeks, but only your best 8 count in terms of the point standing. So this is going to be one drop that Adam Crane is effectively elected to take. For Phil Krause, it will be an opportunity to see what he can get in terms of points. The strength of field seems to be about 3,000 I rating.
Yeah, with that 2,000 I rating, I'm pretty sure that we'll have pretty good points for Krause to consider tonight's result in case of winning. One of those races where he can be within those 8 races. So it's a huge chance tonight for Krause to get good championship points, and maybe he can challenge Crane in the upcoming weeks, so we can have a good fight to the end of the season.
Lap traffic has meant that Andrew Wood has slipped on past Tim Tomes. I think Tomes for a moment was thinking he was going to be able to defend on the outside line, but almost an American football style pick, and now Tomes has really fallen into the clutches of Chris Wilhite. This is, of course, on the edge of the top 5, just 2/10 separating the Ohio native from Tomes in front, as Tomes gets a little bit loose on the exit of turn number 2. And again, we're talking about lap times here. 16.5 seconds is the fastest lap for Philip Krause. He's now lost about 4/10 in terms of pace as Wilhite slips down the inside, but 17 seconds, Wilson. These laps really fly on by. It is a mental challenge to keep yourself focused on the race.
Yeah, it is so challenging, so hard, because the track is really, really short. So if you really lose your concentration for just a fraction of a second, then you can end up spinning or hitting the wall. So concentration is the key here, especially challenging with those traffic. Oh.
John Silva is up the track, and I think that was Ethan McNichol that came into contact. Nothing McNichol could do there, and the caution is out for the second time today. Not exactly sure what happened to the 13 machine. He just got a little bit loose on the entry in towards turn number 1. And Wilson, we have to go ahead and take a look at a RaceSpotTV replay once more.
Yeah, I had a feeling that John just lost the rear end of the car early in the corner entry right here. He just lost the control of this car, and there was nothing that the other car could do to avoid that. So very fortunate for Ethan and for John. I think that was probably some kind of a weight jacker issue or some kind of thing, because it was so early where he lost the control of his car, so it's not the kind of situation we expect to see, but, sometimes that can happen.
One more look at it as we'll go to the European style super slow-mo, and you can see here as he turns into the 14 degrees of banking, already that car is gone and up the track he goes, and the 17, no time to react. And we will slow things down once more. Back to live pictures, and interesting to see there's some confusion, I think, potentially on strategy here. Some cars unsure whether they should come down. Teammates have elected to come down, though. Isaac Morris, Andrew Marquez in now 10th and 11th positions. They were running up towards the mid part of the top 10. They will get up on the jacks for fresh Firestone tires. And what we saw from David Grable is, as he's now up into 11th as a result of these pit stops, is fresh tires are fairly important, Wilson, but once again, this might be a one-stop race, especially given the amount of cautions we may have.
Yeah, Arjuna, and I think that according to as the race goes on, we probably will start seeing less cautions because, of course, will be less drivers on the track, and but right now we had like 4 or 5 cars, if I'm not wrong, that came down to the pit stall, but it seems that the first 10 drivers did not, so there's a small chance here for to see the drivers with fresh rubber trying to make the difference, or even they will just try to feel safe a little bit, and then they can try some undercut later on the race. It's always a risky call, but yeah, sometimes in such a kind of a race, you have to take your chance and try different moves, and some stretches become sometimes that in the end of the race can pay off and you can get a win.
So we started with 25. I think we are now looking at 2 retirees with Alexis Newsom and Jacob Oster definitely done. Potentially 2 more to be added to that count, John Silva and Ethan McNichol. But only 14 cars still on the leading lap here, Wilson. And that might actually mean that the lap traffic situation is a bit easier because once you are 1 lap down, the urge to fight with the leaders as they're coming through just becomes a little bit less. And I would not be surprised if it becomes a little bit easier for someone like Phil Krause to work his way through the lap traffic that was looking very, very heavy.
Yeah, I believe in that as well, Arjuna, because from the moment you are 1 lap down, you know, it's not worth to be that aggressive to try to keep yourself, fighting with the leader. And so that probably might increase how hard Krause will have to handle with the traffic. But you never know. There's some drivers that try to keep all their chances to the end of the race, which might add some emotion to the challenge and to the race, especially for Krause and for Vandersen. But it seems that Krause has a really good car tonight. He's so confident on his restarts and building a very good gap early in his laps. So it will be a pretty challenging for Vandersen, who I think is probably one of those guys that love this kind of race and this kind of short ovals. So very interesting to see as well what Andrew Wood can do to challenge those 2 guys for the win tonight.
And clearly the team talent guys have a pretty good setup because that fastest lap from Phil Krause, a 16.544 is 0.2 quicker than the next car, which is Alexander Van der Sande, a 16.716. A reminder, you can follow along with live timing and scoring by heading to RaceSpot.tv/Indy as we get back to the green flag action. Second caution comes to a close. It was a long hold for cars third on back. That lap traffic, I think, making things rather difficult for the likes of Chris Willite. He's now having to defend, but in front of him, Van der Sande is being challenged by Andrew Wood. The team talent cars trying to go 1 and 2 as we come across the start-finish line. Van der Sande will try and hang it around the outside line.
Yeah, Arjuna, once again, and the Wood is showing a very good early aggression right here, trying to get the spot in the first couple laps. Let's see if that will work this time by, but Van der Sande is doing a great job defending the outside line and nothing done so far.
Oh, and that's a quick caution. And I believe it's because, Tim Tomes, is that by himself or has there been some assistance? Both the front and rear ends of that car have some significant damage. And there is contact that might have been with Chris Willite. Let's see if we can jump a little bit further back. Might not be Willite, it might be Trevor Greenfield. Tomes just maybe comes down the track a little bit too aggressively there as we take a look at the aerial coverage brought to us by ATVO.
Yeah, I agree with you, Arjuna. He had Trevor on the inside and went way too aggressive, closing down in his car. So very fortunate for Tim Tomes. I'm not sure how... It was a bit of a net goal, but the contact was going to happen anyway, so it was just that net call that anticipated the crash. Very unfortunate for Tim. His race is over, and we'll have to wait and see if Trevor had also some damage in his car or not.
The good thing about this new damage model that we have on the IR18, though, Wilson, is that you can get some of that damage repaired. It's a lot more sturdy than it's been in the past.
Yeah, in the past when we had some damage in our suspension, was not able to fix that. It was pretty much race over. So with the new damage model, there's a lot of things that can be fixed. Most of the times, the car does not have the same performance as expected, of course, but at least you can keep on the track. And if you feel that if you are safe to drive, it's always worth to keep in the race and try to get the car to the end.
Back down onto pit road, by the way, is David Graybill, who, of course, pit under that first caution that we had. Still on the leading lap, but now in 13th position. I think that's the strategy is working out the way that he wanted it. He is just rolling around, is trying to stay safe, and ultimately just trying to be there at the end, Wilson, because attrition is clearly going to be important. I mean, you're looking at now 14th on back, at least one lap down. There are cars rolling around 4, 5, even 10 laps adrift from your race leaders. Just getting to the end might yield you a top 5 finish.
Yeah, that's right, Arjuna, because if you're safe and you're still on the lead lap, there's always a chance to have something different and try different strategy, so you can have a very strong position to be fighting for the win by the end of the race, because you never know when a yellow flag will come out. So it's very important to keep on the lead lap, especially in such kind of short ovals. We know that it's not always the easiest task to do, especially seeing how strong is Kraus tonight. But I'm pretty sure that all the drivers are trying to do their best to keep on their lead lap.
Thought for a moment there was something that happened to John Silva because he was highlighted on my timing screen, but I think he's just stopped to make sure that he follows the automated race control system to be in the right order come this restart. It will be lap 41 when we do get back to the green flag action. I'm being told by the YouTube chat to put the focus on Evan Adams. There he is in the 16 machine, running around in 8th, which I'm sure he'll be delighted with. His second consecutive Monday night being on a top split broadcast, and well, given what we've seen so far, like I said, he's just got to keep this up. 15 positions gained already, Wilson. Couple more cautions. We are looking at a very short one stop for these cars that are out front and have yet to come down onto pit road.
Yeah, you're right. I do not think that if they have at least more 25 or 30 laps, they will be pretty much in the window to go to the end with only one stop. Because in terms of fuel consumption, it's pretty much 93, 92 laps. But with some fuel save, you can extend that up to 100 or 105 laps. So we have to wait and see if that will happen or not.
It's the brawl at Richmond. The third caution comes to a close. Phil Kraus still out front, but it has been stop and start. Will Andrew Wood be able to try and leapfrog Alexander Van der Sant this time around? If anything, he might be having to look in his rearview mirrors if Chris Wilhite can mount a charge. We complete this first green flag lap. We knock on all the wood around us to hope that we stay like this for the next couple of laps so we get some sort of green flag pit stops, because like I said at the start, Wilson, it is a tricky pit entry. It will mean drivers might decide to use the access road through turn number 3. Side by side, Alexander Van der Sant still trying to hold on, as I heard a car up into the outside wall. I'm not sure exactly who that was. We're still under green. Andrew Wood still attacking the inside line, but unable to roll that momentum. Van der Sant holds on. They are now 1.3 seconds adrift from your race leader. As Tim Tomes is down on towards pit road, we're just having some technical issues here, which means that Wilson Nato is unfortunately unable to be in the RaceSpotTV booth right now. We will try and get him dialed up as soon as possible, but here we go, side by side. Andrew Wood trying to get the move done. Can he make this work? Yes, he does. He has a nose in front at the line. Van der Sant is not giving this one up. He is still fighting for his life. He knows the podium might depend on it, with Wilhite charging from behind through turns 1 and 2. Nothing doing for the time being, and we'll wait and see if Andrew Wood can mount another attack. It is now 1.5 seconds, the gap to the cars in front. Here we go, still side by side between these two cars as they try and work themselves in towards some sort of podium contention. Of course, Wilhite behind will be hoping to try and see what he can do, but I think might just be a little bit too far behind at this point in time. Andreas Eich is coming under attack from Maxwell Brown. Brown now looking in his rearview mirrors, and Glennox throws it down the inside. They almost touch. Can Andrew Marquez pounced on these two cars. Not just yet, they are getting racy. It's already been a Royal Rumble of sorts as we're trying to just dial on up our co-commentator, Wilson Nadeau. We are just trying to get some technical issues resolved. Gap out front now looks to almost extend to 2 full seconds. Meanwhile, back in the pack, watching on as Andrew Marquez still trying to attack and close up to the cars in front. There he goes. Rather, that's Glenix looking to try and get around the car in front of him. Unable to make anything happen, at least for now, as finally my co-commentator Wilson Nadeau is able to rejoin us in the booth. Alexander Van der Sant Wilson doing an impressive job to fend off the advances of Andrew Wood.
Yeah, very good defensive moves by Van der Sant right there, because Andrew is really fighting hard for that position, because you know how important those points will be for his championship. Van der Sant is doing such a great job defending there, and it's really nice to see those kind of drivers and different lines play, especially playing with the traffic and the lapped cars. So it's always a challenge situation, because if you do the wrong move, you can lose a couple spots. So very nice early aggression in the race, and very nice to see those drivers putting a great show for us to see here tonight.
Lap traffic cost Andreas like 1 position as Maxwell Brown gets on through. It almost cost him another as Glenix looked to try and get the pass happen. Here comes that charge from Andrew Marquez, and Glenix, by the way, is up 11 positions. You've got some pretty big movers, double digits, not just for Glenix, but Evan Adams as well as Trevor Greenfield, David Graybill. That's the battle for cars with fresh tires, still side by side, almost up the track runs Greenfield as Graybill holds on around the outside line. I do think, Wilson, at a track like this, the outside line is very much the preferred groove to try and defend from the passes behind you, but crucially, of course, we've seen that on a number of occasions. There's the yellow flag once more. If you're on that outside line and you encounter some lap traffic, there's really not much you could do, as wow, that is some big damage to Tim Tomes and JB Broyles.
Yeah, that's right, Arjuna. It was unfortunate once again for Tim Tomes going into turn 1. The rear end of his car just snapped on him. He was not able to keep the control of his car, and that JB Broyles also get a huge crash with him, unfortunately for both of driving the race's end.
Tomes, of course, already had an issue before, and no, that's a nasty snap up into the wall, and there's a subsequent contact. Andreas Seid got collected in all of that chaos and carnage. Let's jump onto his onboard, look through that incident, and see exactly what the damage will be for the number 1 car in today's race. There you can see he's trying to slow down. Down the track comes Tim Tomes, and really no time to react for Andreas Seid.
Yeah, and I think he will be able to fix that, Arjuna, because as we were talking earlier, probably he will be able to fix that damage in his front left suspension and also his front wing and the nose of his car. But pretty sure he will be a few laps down. But I think maybe there's a chance for him to keep on the race, and let's wait and see how bad his car will be after all those fixes.
You can take a look at this aerial look at this wonderful track under the night lights. We are racing at the action track, and interesting to note that 3 cars have elected to stay out onto the racetrack. Everyone else has come down, so that leaves Robin Glenix, Isaac Morris, and Evan Adams still out there. Interested at this strategy call, Wilson. I would have thought you would have stayed out here, maybe just expecting another caution more than anything, because let's be honest, we are still within the range where drivers will likely need one more stop, unless we get so many more cautions that we just end up sitting here in stop and start traffic.
Yeah, Arjuna, it's pretty much in the edge right now, on the edge of the fuel safe capacities, because they will restart with like 105 or 104 or so laps to go. It's doable. It's not easy though, but I mean, if you're counting with a couple cautions, which is probably a great chance to happen, then those drivers who pitted right now will be good to go to the end of the race. Not to mention that only with such a small number of drivers not pitting in, Kraus will have a good opportunity to get by them in the first couple laps and be back into the first position. But it's always a risky call, but I that Kraus is a very skilled driver and can do that very comfortably. But yeah, now it's the part of the race where we have both mix of a blend of tires, old tires and new tires, so things getting more dicey and even more interesting to see how that will play for us.
It's one of those cases where I'm not sure exactly how you'd want to play it, to be completely honest. I think I can see the strategy from both sides. I can see why you'd stay out, expecting a couple more cautions and knowing that, say, lap 75 or lap 80, you're probably good to come down and make it to the end. I can also see why Kraus would come down, because better to maybe come in early, knowing that we would get those number of cautions to interrupt the action and extend the fuel window. And if Kraus is able to get on through these 3 cars in front, he'll be sitting there very, very happy, knowing he's played the magic strategy. But ultimately, it might also open the door for the likes of Van der Sant, Wood, or Greenfield to get on through.
Yeah, you're right, Arjuna, because whenever a driver chooses to keep on the track, and if the yellow flag comes out, it will only hurt his strategy, because you have to pit later on, and that will only put him in a bad position. So let's see and wait if you have more cautions or not.
It's in Glenix, Morris, and Adams, the 3 cars yet to come down onto pit road. Barney, the flagman, has that green flag in his hand as to the inside. Phil Kraus looks to try and get on past Evan Adams. Van der Sant will try and slip on through, but unable to do so through turns 1 and 2. Kraus has now that crucial car between him and the rest of the field as yellow flag is out once more, and I believe this time it's Hunter Smith. And he is straight back down on towards pit road. So let's go ahead and take a look at what happened here. Oh, loses control by himself. Alexis Newsom has to check up to avoid. And, well, what can you say other than carnage once more here from America's premier short track, Wilson?
Yeah, very nice checkup by Alexis right there. Was able to avoid it and preventing causing more damage to her car. And unfortunately, it was pretty much spinning the same way we did in the last caution when it was by Tim Thomas. This time Hunter Smith was not able to keep the control of his car going to turn 1. Probably especially due to the cold tires. It's never easy, especially if you choose that first line. It always can be tricky, and the car can end up spinning. And unfortunately for him, the race is over.
I think a couple of drivers are probably feeling pretty good about their decisions not to race in today's action. But at the same time, Wilson, if we had, I think it's even one more driver, we would have had 2 splits of cars, and I think we would have had a very different sort of a race when you put the top talent that we usually see here on a Monday night, competing in the strength of field races. The first race of the new iRacing week as well. It could have been different. We might have got those green flag runs to shake things out.
Yeah, especially because with a smaller field and more talented drivers with the higher ratings, there's already a chance they will play for the strategy and try to have those huge green flag runs and try to take their chance coming to pit boxes and doing their pit stops. So yeah, but that is not what happening tonight. Unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of cautions. Most of those cautions could be avoidable, but again, this is not an easy track, and sometimes you can be caught by surprise for some kind of different situations of the car and even the track temperatures, things like that. So unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of cautions. I'm still hoping we can see a good fight for the winner,
Taking a look at some of the tracked facts, of course. Started as a dirt track back in the day, then got paved, and speeds have increased since then. In 1964, the first race run under the night lights here, it was a temporary lighting setup back then. Of course, lighting has come such a far way since then. In terms of drivers who have IndyCar experience, I mean, in 2001 we had the first ever race for the Indy Racing League that took place here, a first ever short track race as well. And of course, a man like Tony Stewart, who has been a Renaissance man this past summer, winning the SRX Championship. This was the home of his very first Cup Series win, of course, in the stock cars back in 1999. Casey Kane, of course, also won his first career Cup Series win back in 2005. While in terms of lost victories, it was Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s final win in that number 8 Chevrolet before he made his switch over to Hendrick Motorsports in 2008. So much fun racing here, and the lap record, Wilson, if you can believe it, is 15.3 seconds, set by Team Penske and Sam Hornish Jr. in 2005. That is a full almost 1.5 seconds quicker than what Phil Krause's fastest lap here is today.
Yeah, that's faster, Juna. You know, car back in the days were a bit different than we have today. Yeah, you can wait and see how could be to drive such kind of car in this track. But I'm pretty sure that Sam Hornish had a big time and a great time driving the car here and putting some laps down here at Richmond.
Of course, this is that short oval package shared in part with the road's configuration. We don't have double plane wings, it is single plane wings, a little bit less downforce, and of course we've talked about the importance of clean air. That is going to be something that someone like Phil Krause is trying to get back to, as once more the caution comes to an end. I believe that's the 5th on the day so far. Pretty clean start, single file throughout your top 10, as I believe it's Chris Wilhite, the first of the cars, trying to make a challenge. He's almost a 10th of a second behind Trevor Greenfield. Robin Glennox leads across the start-finish line, 17 positions gained, as we're now on lap 69 out of 165 here. It's going to be a long way to go, but again, Wilson, knocking on the wood around me. I really hope we can go green, as here comes Krause for second.
Yeah, here comes Krause. It will be interesting to see now what Krause can do, because his tire is only in his 12 laps, so Isaac Morris has 40 laps and Robin Glennox has 70 laps, so a huge difference in tires. It will be very interesting to see what Krause can do right here with such a better tire compared to those 2 cars ahead of him.
Krause is through, but now it's this challenge for net second position. It's Andrew Wood, it's Alexander Van der Sant. Van der Sant is still stuck up there on the outside groove. He's up into the wall. He might have got away with that one, you know, but Wood will get on through. The question really is, how much damage to the car that won the last time we went short track racing at the Iowa Speedway?
Yeah, he just brushed the wall slightly. Not sure if that will compromise his speed or not. We have to wait and see in terms of lap times, Arjuna, but it was very aggressive move by him, trying to hit the outside line, which is always a risk. You know, you get the clean air, but at the same time, you must keep the control of your car. Otherwise, you can push the car to the wall, cause some damage.
Here comes Krause. He's now found that clean air once more. He will scamper away from his teammate, who sits in 3rd position, trying to chase him down. There is side-by-side action further back as Trevor Greenfield and Chris Wilhite, all white cars, they get on past Alexander Van der Sant. Clearly that damage is affecting the handling on that 7 machine, as Wilhite up into the top 5, trying to challenge for some very crucial championship points almost halfway through the action. Hopefully we can continue like this. Van der Sant will be hoping potentially for a caution though, Wilson, because he would love to come down and get those damages repaired.
Yeah, and in addition to that, Arjuna, because when you hurt your side pods, not always you have some required repairs in the pit stall, because there are some kind of damage that are not there's not possible to fix, so maybe there's a small chance that's the case for Alexander Van der Sant. It's pretty clear that he lost performance. He's just losing a lot of spots right now. Very unfortunate for him, because he was one of those drivers that we were really to see fighting for the win and challenging Krause in the P1.
Andrew Marquez gets through on Maxwell Brown. That's for 8th and 9th positions, and now next target for the number 4 car will be Van der Sant, who is starting to drop off the pace. Last time around was a 17.444. That is 6/10 slower than Phil Krause out front with a 16.830. Andrew Wood has cleared Robin Glennox, and Glennox running very high up the track. I wonder if he's potentially got some sort of side pod damage as they work their way through the lap traffic. Once again, we can see the extent of that lap traffic. Krause is clear, 2 seconds from his teammate, but he will very shortly have the 24 car for company, and then it will be the 20 car, Clint Martin, who we saw involved in that first caution on the night.
Yeah, once again, after just a few laps, Krause has left cars once again, and dealing very well so far. Doing a great job. He was able to do a very comfortable gap ahead of his teammate Andrew Wood, who was not necessary to be that aggressive this time by, because he had better tires and was able to easily overtake those cars ahead of him. So very good P2 at this moment for Andrew Wood.
So Evan Adams has slid down. I think he did come down onto pit road at some point in time. He's 17 laps into a stint. He's now in 11th, the penultimate car on the lead lap with Robin Glennox, and we're watching Isaac Morris trying to defend. The only two cars yet to come down onto pit road then, we would suspect, as here comes Greenfield searching for some clean air, searching for some grip. The banking here does mean that you can run up the track and be a little bit quicker, but I do wonder what the state of the tires are on that 11 car as Morris continues to hold these guys up. He was a full tenth slower than the cars in front.
You're right, Arjuna. Trevor has a tire with, let me compare them here, 44 laps. Meanwhile, Isaac Morris has 53 laps, so almost 10 laps in difference. It's not that huge difference, but you know, it's always a different track to pass and to especially require the amount of speed in the right corners at the right moment. So you're seeing a very good battle right here.
Lots of gaps in front of them, so we're focusing on these guys because this is top 5 results, and of course these are two drivers that we know are strong. Morris is in that top 10 in the championship. He's had a bit of an issue, a couple of incidents throughout the course of the season, but now trying to just continue the strong run and the strong form that he has shown as he makes his way into the IndyCar community for his first full season of competition. Further back in the pack, let us actually go and take a look at what's happening to Alexander Van der Sant, because it looks like, oh no, let's stick here. Can Greenfield get the run from that lap traffic? I don't think he has done it just yet. Van der Sant is coming up on that very same traffic, and Maxwell Brown is looking very racy for 7th position.
Yeah, it was a very interesting move from Trevor. He was trying to get an advantage when Isaac got the dirty air for the lap car ahead of him, and here we go.
And there we go, Maxwell Brown down the inside. Were they 3 wide for a moment? I don't think they were, but Van der Sant still with whatever damage he has, trying to defend. It's clearly compromised his pace as in front of these guys. Greenfield and Morris still side by side. Some pretty good action here, despite the fact that it has been very stop and start, well and truly past the halfway point now of today's action. Greenfield still ripping that bottom line. Can he get it done in through turn 1 and 2, shorter distance, but a little bit less speed? He'll slide up the track. Morris thought about the over-under. He will have to concede for now. Van der Sant, will he do the same thing as here comes Maxwell Brown?
Yeah, Maxwell is trying to repeat the same move that Trevor did over Isaac. Let's see if he'll be able to complete the move in going to turn 1. Meanwhile, Van der Sant trying to defend in the outside line. I think Arjuna, in his mind right now, is basically pretty much what he can do, keeping the outside line and try to lose as the minimal amount of spot. But it's not being easy for him. He almost hit the wall right now. So unfortunately for Van der Sant, which had a good pace. Yeah, that's all that he can do for now at this point in the race.
Started second, runs in 8th. Been a difficult slide down since that wall contact, but potentially might not be looking at too many more places lost because the cars behind him are not necessarily running scintillating lap times by any means. A 17.531 for Van der Sant last time around. For Andrew Marquez, it was effectively a 17.4, so only a tenth of a second quicker and 1.2 seconds off the pace. Meanwhile, the teammates out front are trading lap times back and forth, but that's more of just by virtue of the fact that there's so much lap traffic around there. You can see Kraus has finally worked his way through the first gaggle of cars. That's the two at the top of the track map on the bottom right portion of your screen that now has a little bit of clean air. We jump on board with his teammate, who's now got about 4 different cars to make his way through.
Yeah, we were able to see, Arjuna, how hard has been for Kraus and Wood. I mean, they have traffic almost in every lap, so whenever they have 2 or 3 laps, they can try to build a comfortable gap. Like last lap, Kraus is getting the clean air and able to put better lap times compared to Andrew Wood, who is having right now 3 cars ahead of him. We lose a bit of time right here, but yeah, that's the nature of the race, especially such kind of a short oval, Juna, and even with less cars that we had in the beginning of the race, the lapped cars and the lapped traffic is still huge.
Trevor Greenfield now still side by side with Maxwell. Excuse me, that's Maxwell Brown who's side by side with Isaac Morris. Very difficult when you have so many different white cars in the field to pick them up. They are 3 wide heading through the corner. That will give advantage to Morris, I think, because he was able to just run that middle groove and maintain his momentum, and that was sketchy for a moment. And I think that lapped car potentially even went up into the outside wall.
Yeah, Brown has a tire with 28 laps in his tire, so pretty much better situation compared to Isaac Morris. Not sure for how long Morris will be able to pinch him down here and keep defending that position, but he's trying to do his best. So nice to see that going on. And I'm pretty sure that Brown will have to try to move in the next couple of laps.
Yeah, I think he needs to get the move done because now the gap has opened up out front. As me talking of gaps out front, and Glenix has come down, I think, onto pit road. So clearly now out of fuel, and this is where that strategy is going to hurt him and Isaac Morris, because of course both of them elected not to come down onto pit road at this point, at that last caution, I should say, and ultimately they're going to lose several laps as they sit there stationary on pit road.
Yeah, Arjuna, that's the downside of that strategy, as we were talking earlier, because he pinning under green, he probably lose 2 or 3 laps. Just wait and see, which will be pretty hard for him to get back to the leader lap. It's doable, but you know, it's not the easiest thing to do, even if we have a green flag run, because most of those drivers won't have to pit once again to go to the end of the race. So Rob is not in the best shape at this moment in the race, Arjuna.
But as Liam Quinn points out in the YouTube chat, Wilson, if we go green to the end, which, let's be honest, there is no guarantee. If anyone is banking on going green to the end, they need to get their head checked, if we're being completely honest. It's a fuel save race now. It is a fuel strategy race, and Glenix is going to be good to the end. Everyone else, other than Isaac Morris, will need, well, I say Isaac Morris will need a pit stop as well come the next couple of laps, but everyone else is going to have to dive down onto pit road, and Glenix will get those laps back at some point in time.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe Krause or Woods, because they restarted with, if I'm not wrong, 105 to go. Not sure if that fuel save is doable right here, but yeah, we have to see in terms of lap times what Krause and Wood is doing. But maybe something we can change out of the blue one lap or 2. It's always an interesting point to see and try to understand, to have the right reading of how the race is going on right now.
Andrew Marquez will look and get past his teammate Isaac Morris. Of course, I think Morris must be running around in fuel map 5 or something here, because the lap times have dropped off to about an 18.101. That is half a second slower than Philip Krause, who did a 17.553 the last time around. And really, I would just suspect that Morris is eking out whatever mileage he can, minimize his time in pit road. But ultimately, he is due a pit stop and really doing a very impressive job. Clearly, he's got that magic fuel-growing tree in that Dallara IR18.
Yeah, you know, because Krause started on lap 67, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, I think it was 67. 98 laps to go.
That's going to be a caution. That changes the game. It's Trevor Greenfield who slides up the track, makes contact with Chris Wilhite, and Wilhite is in the outside wall. Well, all those equations go out the pictures. Isaac Morris will be delighted because he was just about to be lapped by your race leader. So really, that caution could not have come at a more opportune time. Here is the replay. Here is the contact. It's aggressive from both drivers, to be completely honest there. Wilhite just tries to cover off the move from Trevor Greenfield a little bit too late. You can see on the outside line the momentum that Greenfield had built up, but ultimately it's Wilhite that pays the price.
Yeah, John, I agree with you. It was a very aggressive move for both of drivers, you know, for Chris and also for Trevor. Unfortunately for Chris, when he tried to defend the inside line, it was too late, and Trevor was already there, committed to the line. They ended up getting contact. Pretty unfortunate end of the race for Chris Wilhite, which is always a strong driver. And unfortunately, the race didn't end up very well for him tonight.
But here we go. This is the fun part. This is when cars are on pit road. And again, only 6 cars are left on the leading lap, so it does make it a bit difficult for some of the cars maybe further back in the pack that would have wanted to come down pit road. We're talking of the likes of Evan Adams and company, but they are now forced to potentially just wait it out and see if another caution comes out. I agree with someone in the chat there. I blame the car in white. That's about as easy a call as you could make, I think, Wilson.
Yeah. It's so easy to blame the white car. I agree with you. Yeah, but yeah, it's kind of the nature of the race, you know. Sometimes when we try some more aggressive move from both drivers, that can happen. Yeah, very unfortunate for Chris and also for Trevor.
Reminder for those of you who want to compete in these races, they are public races. Anyone can sign up. Just remember to head to RaceSpot.media to submit your paint scheme so we can identify you here up in the RaceSpotTV commentary booth. So lap 112 underway right now, and I do think that when we get back to the action, we may only have 52 laps or so to go, and 52 laps if you're racing at somewhere like Indianapolis is obviously a very, very long race still to go, but my timing screen here is saying 15 minutes at the 0.75 mile track. We said it earlier, Wilson, mental focus at a place like this is so crucial. You know all about it, having gone short track racing just last night.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I know all about it. I'm still learning a lot, but yeah, definitely last night was a very good experience, and definitely made me change my mind and start learning some more short ovals. Because the dynamic of the race is a complete race, complete difference. I'm sorry. I mean, it's a blend of oval with some skills we have to use in the road courses. So yeah, it's a kind of different experience for me. But yeah, at Gateway last night was a very joyful race with very challenging, very tricky ones and moves, and especially when you try to be more aggressive, you have to do the right move. So yeah, that's the funny part of a short ovals racing.
So here we go. 50 laps or so still left to go. It will be Phil Kraus in control of the field, as it looks like at least one more lap under caution. I think that's because we'll get potential wave rounds for a number of cars. There they go. It includes the likes of Glenix, who tried the strategy, Wilson. It just did not work in his favor. He is now sitting one lap down.
Yeah, it didn't work in his favor because it was necessary to have a green flag stop for everyone else, so he could bring those get back those 2 laps. But either way, he's 1 lap down at the moment, and maybe there's another caution, he can try something different. But yeah, from this point in the race, with so short, it will be really tough for him.
David Graybill is on the lead lap in 7th position, but is 56 laps into his run as we get back underway from America's premier short track. It is going to be a wild ride to the finish here. His teammates out front, Philip Kraus and Andrew Wood. Can anything happen, or will someone like Trevor Greenfield try and pounce as we work our way into the closing stages of this race? Alexander Van der Sant came down onto pit road, a relatively short stop, so if he did have any damage, he is very lucky that or rather, I should say, if he didn't have any damage, he is very lucky to have gotten away with that one, but already looking a little bit slow. Here comes Isaac Morris, here comes Maxwell Brown.
Yeah, here they come, and so we have to wait and see once again how will be the performance from Van der Sant from this point in the race on, if he were able to fix those damages or not, but you never know, so let's wait and see. A lot of action going on right here now, Arjun.
Dirty air being fed to the 11 car, and at a track like this with relatively little aero when it comes to your front wing, just a little bit of dirty air really can upset the apple cart. Fastest lap powered by ATVO. It's Phil Kraus out front with that clean air, a 16.429. Incredible. Almost 2/10 quicker than his teammate behind, but the lap times bouncing back now, just 1,000 separating Andrew Wood from Phil Kraus, a 16.558 versus a 16.559 out front. I don't think, unless lap traffic is going to play a factor here, or if a caution plays some sort of major games like we saw with Andreas Eick, Wilson, I don't necessarily think Kraus is going to be challenged. That is crucial in the championship picture.
Yeah, I think the only way we can see Kraus being challenged tonight is maybe, I don't know, with 20 to go, we have a caution, and then most of the drivers try to pit and do the opposite for him, because when you're leading the pack, it's always a challenging situation, because sometimes when you pit in and the other drivers stay out, you find yourself in a very bad situation. However, we have only 8 drivers in the same lap of the leader, so that kind of diminishes this kind of issue for the leader, but it's always a challenge to come with fresh rubber, overtaking everyone else and try to get to the front of the field.
There you can see Kraus out of the final corner to work his way across the start-finish line at the bottom portion of the track map, already coming up on the back of Jeff Pless in that number 23 car, and lap traffic comes thick and fast from there. Kraus down the inside, making it look very, very easy, but like I said, he is going to have to work his way very carefully through the lap traffic. We have seen in the past just how chaotic and crazy lap traffic really can be. The gaps have opened up. Isaac Morris has gotten past Alexander Van der Sant, now almost 2 full seconds clear. Van der Sant well and truly off the pace, almost a full second behind your race leader with a 17.778. Does just indicate how careful you have to be here, Wilson, because we said that the new damage model might let you get away with some potential issues, some potential scrapes against the wall, but clearly not the case with the car that started in second.
Yeah, and that confirms that clearly Van der Sant had some kind of side pot damage in the right side of his car. Otherwise, he will probably be able to get back to the same performance he was having early in the race. So that's not the case. He was just trying to, to do the outside line and try to defend the best way as possible. But it's not easy because that affects a lot of the aero performance in this car. But yeah, he's trying to do his best, keeping the car running close to the wall and get the car to the end of the race.
Meanwhile, in front of him, the battle for the final step on the podium is closing on up. Greenfield just got a bit stuck behind some lap traffic, and Morris is trying to just take advantage, close the gap, put himself in the rear view mirror and apply that little bit of extra pressure that you can do. Evan Adams, just at the back of the shot, has been passed by Andrew Marquez. As lap traffic, of course, a factor, and Evan Adams doing a great job to stay out the way. 13 positions gained for Evan Adams. I think he did the smart thing at the start, Wilson, which was not qualify, roll himself around at the back, keep his nose clean, still looking at a top 10 finish.
Yeah, sometimes that can work, sometimes not, but you just need to be confident with your pace and with yourself, Arjuna, because there's always a risk starting from that far behind. You can be overtaken really, really quick by the leaders. But that was not the case tonight because we had so many early cautions in the race, which kind of helped Evan Adams somehow, and he's still doing a pretty consistent racing, trying to get there.
35 laps to go, so under 10 minutes left here, and after this we will return to the Brickyard. I mean, we won't go oval racing when we're there. We will instead race from the road configuration. And Wilson, of course, much excitement in the iRacing IndyCar community when the iRacing scan truck was spotted near Speedway, Indiana. Of course, there was a trip scheduled in 2020 for the IMS facility to be rescanned. Of course, the global pandemic put that to rest, at least for a year or so. But now it is looking like we may get that new version of IMS. Of course, the oval is going to be interesting to see what changes it brings in terms of surface changes, visual changes as well. But more importantly, we are going to have a totally new road course, and in my humble opinion, one that's actually going to be fun to race.
Yeah, Indy is always Indy, not only the oval side, but also the road course is always so fun to drive there. And it was about time, I must say, because such important track, it's always a fun track with a lot of important races right there. And if that's confirmed, it will be pretty, I'm sure the community will be pretty happy with that.
Robin Glennox trying to work his way back from the pit stop he had to make under green flag conditions. He's gotten past Evan Adams. He's gotten past Nathan Rees as well. Now we're looking at that battle for 10th position. As to the inside goes Evan Adams in the 16. Laura Gerhardt is one lap behind, but also right behind these cars on track. Unlikely to make things very difficult. 30 laps to go. Evan Adams, I think, wants to just try and find a way past, but he's going to be careful because he doesn't want to get involved in any sort of carnage. He's looking to the outside as Gerhardt is looking racy down on the bottom.
Yeah, just trying to keep hitting her marks and not get in any kind of mess with the leader cars or any other else. So just trying to keep the low profile. We know Laura very well. Just trying to complete race and get to the end.
Really, the gaps have kind of opened up very slightly, which is why we're focusing on this Adams versus Rees battle for that 10th position. We were watching, at least for a few moments, the squabble between Morris and Greenfield that's closing up as a result of lap traffic. It's not just closing up between these two cars, closing up for the race lead, now down to 1.7 seconds as they work their way through the lap traffic. It is still crazy. We started with 25 cars, Wilson. We are down to 17, of which 6, I'll repeat that, 6 are on the lead lap, and I would not be surprised if once we get to the end of this race, we are only left with 4 cars on the leading lap.
Yeah, we won't be surprised because considering the pace, especially for Van der Sant, who had some damage, and considering how strong Krause and Wood are looking here tonight, they definitely have a chance to, on those remaining laps, to lap the other remaining cars. So we might have ending up with only 3-4 cars in the lead laps. which just show how hard is this track, Arjuna, and how hard it is to be strong here and to have a good race all the race long.
Nathan Rees has been passed by Evan Adams and now pulls away to the tune of about 1 full second. There are gaps closing first between Maxwell Brown and Alexander Van der Sent. Van der Sent still struggling with whatever damage he potentially has to the number 7 car. Of course, started on the outside of the front row. Was running pretty strong until that contact, and further in front of them, Greenfield and Morris closing on up once more. But with some clean air, at least for now, as you can see in the bottom right portion of your screen. We'll have to wait and see if it takes some more lap traffic to mix things up. Phil Krause is potentially, actually here, Wilson, looking like he might even lap everyone up to 3rd if he continues at this pace, because he is a full 0.4 of a second faster than those cars battling for 3rd and 4th position. It is an incredible pace that the team talent guys have been showing here. Coming off a very successful season in the ISOWC, they have dialed this car in on the short ovals.
You're right, Arjuna. Right now, Krause has a bunch of cars ahead of him, so he will have to deal with those lapped cars very carefully. And because you need to get to the end of the race, but at the same time, you can't play on the safe side too much, otherwise Andrew Wood will be right behind him trying to close that gap. So very important point of the race right here for Krause, because there's a huge string of cars ahead of him, and that can add some spicy to the end of the race. And so let's wait and see what Krause can do right here.
He comes across the line to make it 18 to go. Now 2.2 seconds, less than 2 seconds for a second as it dipped down as he slowed through some of that lap traffic, just cutting and carving his way through. Meanwhile, 7th and 8th positions closing on up. David Graybill is trying to extend that fuel tank for all he is worth. 89 laps into his stint. I tell you what, Wilson, if he can get that car to the end, I will be amazed.
I think it's doable, Arjuna, but yeah, he's probably doing some huge full save right there, because with 89 laps and with 70 to go, probably definitely in that percentage window, as per my calculation I was doing earlier today. Yeah, as I was not on the track, I'm not 100% sure to state that, but there's always a chance to be that the case for David Graybill and what he's doing tonight.
Probably does mean that Robin Glennox might even be able to try and close a little bit further and get up into 7th, of course. And Glennox is running pretty strong in the championship standings, came into this race in 5th position, so about 7 points in front of Andrew Marquez. There's your race leader, by the way, trying to get on through this gaggle of cars, splits the difference. Down the inside he goes of David Graybill. Next car up, I think, is potentially Maxwell Brown. It's very chaotic here, but the race leader doing a very fine job to just keep things in control and keep things on the tarmac. The gap for the final podium position has opened up now. Isaac Morris is a full 2 seconds behind Trevor Greenfield in 3rd. Interesting to note that Greenfield didn't seem to struggle too much from the damage or the incident he had with Chris Wilhite then, Wilson.
Yeah, because if I'm not wrong, if I remember right, it was a bit of net code. I mean, that kind of net code that anticipates that crash that was about to happen, and sometimes that kind of incidents can they don't cause any kind of damage in his car, which I believe was what happened to Trevor, and I'm pretty sure he's with the car 100% because he's such a strong performance in the race.
Oh, Andrew Wood loses it very briefly through turn number 2, able to hold on to that car. That would have been a podium position thrown away for the team talent driver. I'm sure he would have been kicking himself for a moment. Talked to him a bunch here on RaceSpotTV, including a classic IndyCar Series race where he finished on the podium for the Team Chimera team. Got to talk to him there. Will be fun to talk to him at the conclusion of this one as well, because it's an interesting challenge, Richmond, and I see in the YouTube chat that someone's comparing this to Iowa. We've seen a totally different race to what we saw when we went racing at Iowa, where it was a fuel save race. It was much cleaner than we saw today, Wilson. Ultimately, though, short track racing, it is a niche kind of oval within itself, and especially when you take these downforce heavy cars, they are ripping around at so much speed, it requires a certain finesse to get yourself around.
Yeah, you know, that's why racing is so passionate, because sometimes you have one kind of race, and in the other day, on the same track, or even at least in a track with some similar conditions, you can have a complete different race and situation. So, yeah, in Iowa, if I'm not wrong, the field was smaller. That was the race was a bit cleaner than compared to with tonight. But yeah, that's some kind of things we love to see. Different races, different strategies, and it's all those kind of situations that add more experience to the drivers. And I'm pretty sure that all drivers that raced here tonight will have a new experience for them competing in this series.
If it's up to you, Wilson, do we come to Richmond again?
Yeah, of course. We always, as long as I'm not on the track, I always love to see races here.
Well, it was a voted track for this season, 2021 Season 3. It is locked into your iRacing IndyCar Open Championship in the rotation for Season 1. So return to the iRacing service if you want, I guess early in January, maybe even in February, to go short track racing once more. And we will have one more short track race before we wrap up the season. In 2 weeks' time, we'll head to the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Based on what you saw yesterday, Wilson, that can be an incredibly interesting race, especially when you have temperature transitions from evening to night.
Yeah, definitely. We were, Juna, from my experience yesterday, it's such a fun track. I didn't expect that track to be that fun with this car. Yeah, but it was so fun to drive, so joyful to race and to fight hard. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it will be a hell of a race here.
So remember to stay tuned on RaceSpotTV for all of that. Here comes the white flag. It is in Barney the flagman's hand. Phil Krause has controlled this race from pole position to victory, but some strategy mixed things up. 165 laps here from America's premier short track facility. He almost makes contact with lap traffic to boot, but Phil Krause wins on a Monday night to keep our championship fight well and truly close. In 7 days' time, we will head to Speedway, Indiana for a road course race to crown what should be one of the final races. Hopefully, we get on that cursed layout. After that, it's Worldwide Technology Raceway, it's Watkins Glen, and it's Pocono to round out the 2021 Season 3 of the iRacing IndyCar Open Championship. Wilson, it's been an interesting ride so far. The last couple of weeks have been chaotic, crazy, to say the very least, but cannot wait because the next few tracks that we have, we may see some big fields with some very strong contenders returning to a Monday night.
Yeah, I definitely can't wait to see that, Arjuna, because in the upcoming weeks, things will change a little bit, starting in 7 days' time at Indy Road, and after that at Worldwide Technology Raceway. It will be a complete different race, and I think the grid, of course, as well. And in terms of championship, things is still a bit open in terms of a champion, but Brain has a huge advantage at this point. But very nice to see Krause challenging him for the championship while he's going backwards on the track. Such a different celebration. To be honest, I've never seen that before.
Well,
Krause is just doing new things right here.
I've seen a Polish victory lap. I've never seen it done in true reverse fashion. Phil Krause well and truly innovating here today. We will enjoy watching this wonderful car control. I've never seen someone control an IndyCar at speeds in excess of 100 kilometers an hour like that, but the Appleton, Wisconsin native returns to the start-finish line. No donuts. I think he kind of failed on that assignment. Plenty of fuel, clearly. Here comes those victory celebrations. Let's go ahead then and take a look at our race results. 165 laps later from Richmond. Phil Krause, 3 full seconds to his teammate Andrew Wood. It is a team talent 1-2 with Trevor Greenfield rounding out your podium, 13 seconds adrift. Isaac Morris completes the cars on the leading lap. Only 4 of them, if you can believe it. Might have been even more brutal if we had a longer green flag run. Alexander Van der Sant started on 2nd, but damage drops him to 5th position. Maxwell Brown tried to hunt him down. It was only 0.2 of a second between those 2 cars at the line. Maxwell Brown, by the way, up 8 positions from where he started. Andrew Marquez, a bit of a difficult day for him. Comes home in 7th with Robin Glennox 5th in the championship coming into this race. 10 positions gained to an 8th place finish, but it could have been so much more for a driver that led laps here. David Graybill 9th, Evan Adams 10th, the first car 3 laps down. Just shows you how lap traffic did mean that some of these cars had to be a little bit more cautious than they would have wanted to be. 13 positions gained, by the way, For Evan Adams, he is our biggest mover on the day. Nathan Rees and Laura Gerhardt, 11th and 12th positions, with Andreas Eich and Thomas Schaffner, 13th and 14th. Clint Martin comes home in 15th, with Alexis Newsom recovering after early damage to come across the line in 16th position. Jeff Pless, Chris Wilhite, they are, I think, the first of our non-finishers in today's action, with Hunter Smith and JB Broyles rounding out our top 20. Tim Tomes, John Silver, Steve Harvey, Ethan McNichol and Jacob Oster round out our 25 starters, and of course, a bit of carnage for Jacob Osters, representing Team Closed Squares, unable to put that livery on full display here today. Let's dial up your race winner and speak to the Appleton, Wisconsin native, Phil Krause himself. Philip, you are victorious on a Monday night, and it does make that championship fight just a little bit more interesting.
Yeah, it was a fun race today. It was a shame it didn't split, but Richmond's usually a fun little short oval. Not as much to race as it is to hot lap, but I still had fun, and working through traffic was definitely pretty interesting today, because there were some cars that were really far off the pace, and you didn't really know where they were going to go.
Well, compare it, or the Richmond Raceway, to what you were racing around yesterday, where you were very, very racy in the Indy Elite Series when they headed to the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Of course, this series makes its own trip to that part of the globe in just a couple of weeks' time. What was it like, especially in that last run, where you were carving your way through the field?
Yeah, it was just vibing, to be honest, having a bit of fun. Andrew was behind me by about 3 seconds. We were just carving through, having a bit of fun, and I was hoping to lap up to third, maybe second if I got lucky, and I was a few seconds off lapping third, I think, but real fun.
In terms of a setup on the short oval, Philip, what are you looking for? Is it stability? Is it pace? Because single plane at the front wing, it means you have a little less aero, so if you get in dirty air, it's going to be much different to how it handles in clean air. There must be a lot of compromise that goes into building an IR-18 setup.
With the short ovals, it's definitely a lot harder to make a setup on the tire model than was on the old tire, because quick at the end of a run, you have to be almost crashing, for lack of a better word, the first 5-10 laps of a run, and it showed yesterday at Gateway and Elite. Tucker, he was really struggling those short runs, but he had the legs on the long run, and I think if he ran here when we ran Elite, it was the same story. He was really loose short run, but on the long run, he was able to track me down, so I think that shows kind of the direction you have to go, but obviously you can't go too far to the point where you're going to crash, because you want to stay safe still while trying to get as much speed as possible.
Congratulations, Phil. Hopefully we'll see you in 7 days' time as we head to Speedway, Indiana.
Yep, thank you.
So Phil Krause, winner for Team Talent. Next up, it's a second Team Talent member as we talk to Andrew Wood once more in the RaceSpotTV commentary booth from Richmond. Andrew, you do like racing around here. What was that like for you, working your way up into the podium spots?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. Just trying my best to be patient. You know, patience is something that doesn't always come easy to me, but you know, I know the key to success around here after racing a lot of laps around Richmond is just waiting for your time and just getting with what comes to you. So I tried to channel that, and it worked out for me tonight.
Was there ever a moment where you thought you could challenge your teammate out front in the closing run there? Because I think lap traffic kind of traded lap times back and forth between the two of you, but it looked very difficult for you guys to find the right move, to find the right momentum and the right groove to get past them at the right point in time. You found that out early on when you were fighting side by side with some of your competitors.
Yeah, a little Team Talent secret: when Phil starts to be quiet in chat, you know he's fully focused. So I took that as a sign that he was really trying to push, and it really worked. And yeah, I thought I had this chance to get to him at some points, but I probably wasn't as on top of my tools as I should have been to maybe try and challenge him. I should have been a little riskier, and I found that out a little later in the run when I was getting a little bit freer and running a little more consistent and faster lap times. So yeah, I probably could have had something for him if I was just a little bit more brave on my tools, but regardless, I'm happy with another podium shot here.
And in terms of championships, Andrew, I know it's a interesting series to look at the championship standings for, because it's a week-long road for every single race weekend to get the most points that you could get. You came in 7th place given 2 drop weeks. What's it looking like for you through the rest of the season? We've got some interesting races coming up. Indy GP next time around, then to the Worldwide Technology Raceway for Watkins Glen and Pocono to round things off. You may still be looking at a challenge for 4th or maybe even 3rd.
Yeah, I'm glad you pointed that out, because after I missed last week at Phillip Island, I kind of discounted it a little bit. Felt like I was a little bit out of it, but wasn't expecting to do as well tonight. Thought there would be a lot more of the Adam Blocker types and such here tonight, so I was hoping for top 5 or such. But yeah, you're right. Now that I've gotten a 2nd here, the points are looking a little bit better. So a 3rd would be great, because I've never been that high in the Open Championship. I've always kind of finished bottom of top 10, which I'm totally fine with. You know, like racing these guys every week and trying to get a little better. So I got some good tracks coming up for myself, and I'm looking forward to it. I'll be here to see the best result I can.
Well, we'll see you then in 7 days' time from the Brickyard. Congratulations on 2nd here today.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. See you later.
So that was Andrew Wood, and I don't think we are necessarily going to get that opportunity to talk to the final step of the podium, Trevor Greenfield. So let's wrap things up here, Wilson, by taking a look at the schedule. 8 rounds done, 4 to go. We are into those final races, that final chance for drivers to try and win the championship here. I can't wait to go to the Brickyard. I know I don't necessarily like the layout, but it is a long run out of that final corner, that right-hand 90-degree bend that leads you onto turn 1 in the wrong direction on the oval, and then in towards the real turn 1 on the road courses. We've seen push-to-pass as being crucial, but we've also seen alternate aero configs make it very difficult for cars to get on pass. Should be a fascinating race from the Brickyard.
It should be a very fascinating race, Arjuna, because you're right, that long straight can make things a bit more dicey, especially in terms of push-to-pass strategies, and who knows how trim the car will be able, to support all those tint long. So really looking forward to see what the drivers will be able to do for us next week. And it's always a fun track, even in the old layout. It has an infield very interesting with high-speed corners, low-speed corners, a lot of change of directions really fast, which kind of demands you to adjust your front bars in the real time, for different conditions of the tire. So yeah, I think it will be a pretty interesting race to see. I'm really looking forward to see how that will bring in terms of championship points to the season.
So join us in 7 days' time as we head to Speedway, Indiana. For now, though, on a Monday night, it is time to say goodbye once more. My name is Arjuna Kankipati, delighted to be joined by my Powerslide Motorsports teammate Wilson Nadeau in the commentary booth. TV cameras provided to us by Istvan Ballo and TrackCams22.com, with our live timing powered by our partners at ATVO. Shout out to them, by the way, for all the hard work they've done in 2021. Kevin Niotola, Simon Grossman, and Nick Thisson to get our graphics package to the place it is, and so much more behind the scenes. We will see you in 7 days' time, but don't forget there is plenty more sim racing action to come, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live. From Richmond, it is Phil Kraus in Victory Lane, and from the team at RaceSpotTV, enjoy the next week of sim racing action. So long for now.
I want it now, and I ain't never gonna back down.